Welcome to Jesse Waters Primetime. Tonight,
I am terrified about what could possibly happen because our leaders matter.
if Joe can't go, Michelle is ready. Gaping holes nearly sucking Americans out of planes. The judge jumper back in court. Primetime goes behind the bench.
Go sit down.
Plus, Johnny at the Golden Globes.
Damn, you're hitting me with political questions right at work, the red carpet.
The black church has been a cauldron of change in American culture for over a century. From Frederick Douglass, who spent his early days preaching about the abolition of slavery, to Martin Luther King Jr., whose sermons paved the way for the civil rights movement. It was the black church that galvanized racial progress in this country. And it was the Democratic Party that turned the black church into a campaign stop. And no one received a warmer welcome than Bill Clinton.
Mr. President, these are your people. Give him a great big hand. The President of the United States.
If you haven't had Bishop Lindsey's barbecue, you haven't had barbecue. I've been called a lot of things, but nobody's called me a bishop yet.
The first black president was then followed by the first half-black president, who laid down some harmony. Listen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Then our friend Hillary hit the black church circuit, but there was something off.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
The Democratic Party has been filling black churches up for decades. Well, it did, until Biden. The president walked into a black church in Charleston today and proclaimed he started the civil rights movement.
I've spent more time in the Bethel AME Church in Wilmington, Delaware than I have than most people I know, black or white, have spent in that church. Because that's why I started no, I'm serious. I started a civil rights movement.
Not only did Joe Biden not start the civil rights movement, black churches in Delaware say they don't remember him ever sitting in the pews. Is it me, or is the whole "I'm the first black president's VP" thing wearing thin with the black community? Biden couldn't even fill the pews of a black church with black people. Look, that's a lot of white people for a black church. Maybe racial reconciliation's progressing at light speed because that is the whitest black church I've ever seen. Remember, this is South Carolina, the state that saved Biden in 2020. And now, instead of saving him, they're heckling him.
Without light, there's no path from this darkness.
If you really care about the lives lost here, then you should honor the lives lost and call for a ceasefire in Palestine. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
That's all right.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Now I know what all the whites were there for. And did you notice half the church protesters? The Biden campaign had one job: put black voters in the pews of the black church for Biden's speech. And they let in dozens of Palestinians. NBC News stumbled onto the truth when they spoke to folks downtown. Listen.
This idea that, the Democratic Party has kind of pandered to black people and, promising them all these things, and then they get in office and it kind of feels like they're forgotten. I think that's kind of like the sentiment that a lot of people have, and I think that's one of the reasons now where people, especially young people, care more about, who the right person for the job is versus like what's the right party.
These political parties are losing their grip on their traditionally loyal coalitions. Trump's now poised to win more black votes than any Republican in American history. Remember, if Trump does just 1% better with black Americans, Biden loses the White House. So the Democratic Party doesn't want Biden to debate Trump. Don't campaign and don't debate. Well, then how does Biden win without a pandemic? Well, it's simple. Biden's flying reporters to Delaware and reprogramming them. Is the Biden campaign allowed to pay for reporters' plane tickets to Wilmington and serve them food and alcohol and tell them they're getting it wrong? Not sure. The Biden campaign is telling reporters to stop covering that Biden's prosecuting Trump and cover the controversial things Donald says instead. The Biden campaign wants to prosecute Trump in the dark this year. Some very powerful people are watching this, and they've had enough. The Obamas say Joe Biden's going to lose, so they're staging a hostile takeover. Obama World is telling everyone who will listen in Washington that the Biden campaign is complacent, unimaginative. They don't understand the threat of losing to Trump. Team Biden says Biden is way too zen. I think when he says way too zen, he means barely alive, but I don't want to put words in the former president's mouth. The Washington Post is reporting Obama has been visiting Biden at the White House to tell him he needs a full overhaul of his campaign. Obama is pushing Biden to move his political operation outside of and beyond his White House advisors. Translation, Barack and Michelle are taking over. And the media agrees.
President Biden needs to listen. He needs to ramp up the attacks. He did yesterday. He needs to stop running ads that say, I did a great job, and start running ads saying this guy is a threat. Democracy, to your abortion rights, to your Social Security, everything has to be Trump. Everything. I have a 7-step plan for Biden's reelection. And you can memorize them because I did them in alphabetical order. Attack, 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 attack.
Biden's trying to throw Trump in prison for the rest of his life, strip his business license, strip him off the ballot, and just call him a combination of Hitler and King George III. And the Obamas think he should go on the attack? I'm afraid to ask what this new level of attack would look like. But if Trump isn't damaged goods by the convention, Michelle Obama's positioning herself as Plan B.
What's going to happen in this next election? I am terrified about what could possibly happen because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I think people take for granted. You know, the fact that people think that government, does it really even do anything? And I'm like, oh my God. Does government do everything for us? And we cannot take this democracy for granted. And sometimes I worry that we do. Those are the things that keep me up.
Our leaders matter? Is she talking about Trump or Biden? Hard to tell. But the former First Lady, who rarely expresses her political views so pointedly, is sending out the bat signal.
What is the thing that keeps you up at night?
More to do with the world that we're in. There's such a thing as knowing too much. It could be any range of things that comes across the desk of the leader of the free world, right? So I know a lot about what's going on, and what keeps me up are the things that I know. The war in the region, in too many regions. What is AI going to do for us? The environment, are we moving at all fast enough? What are we doing about education? Are people going to vote? And why aren't people voting? I mean, those are the things that keep me up because you don't have control over them. And you wonder, where are we in this? Where are our hearts?
Michelle Obama is talking about war, talking about artificial intelligence. This woman isn't just a fruit juice tycoon. She could be running. She even uncorked a new economic plan, mandatory trickle-down economics.
We have this trickle-down approach, right? Yeah. That's the basis of a capitalistic economy, right? But that's not happening.
Yes.
It's not trickling. The law would require in whatever way, if we're not trickling voluntarily, then we need to be forced to trickle. Mandatory trickling down.
Yeah.
Forced to trickle. She's talking about Biden? Could this be worse than Bidenomics? Nothing could be worse. Who knows about Michelle's mandatory trickle? But Michelle wants you to remember it wasn't the Obama-Biden White House. It was the Barack and Michelle White House. Listen to how she uses the words we.
I'm so proud of my husband and the way he led, the way his administration worked, the team that we built. So proud of everyone. I think that's because of who we are.
Did she just forget to mention Joe Biden? Michelle, as your husband said, you didn't build that. But if I were Joe Biden, I don't know who I'd fear more, Trump or her.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.